and welcome to another video. Obviously, yes, I am watching it. Yeah, before I get into the main bulk of this video, quick update on some other things on my channel. Thank you for everyone who's commented on the At the Movies series, which I just posted, like all of them in like 2 days. All 8 episodes are available to watch. They're me and my fiance Connie doing movie reviews of films we saw in summer 2012. So please check that out and give it a shot, give it a like, give it a comment. A lot of dislikes on that series for some reason, which is weird. Well, not really, I get dislikes all the time, but there you go. If you've got a problem with the video, just tell me what it is. So yeah, thanks for everyone who's checked that out so far, and my Harry Potter series will be delayed. I might take a brief hiatus. I'm going to do the third part, Prisoner of Azkaban, but after that I'm going to take a bit of a break. So yeah. But yeah, this video, I've already been waffling on for about a minute. This video is going to be me talking about my top 20 favourite films. Robin176 just did a video talking about her top 20 favourite films. I thought that's a good idea. Well, not a good idea because I've seen people do it before, but the way she presented the video and stuff, I was like, oh yeah, and it really got me into the mood to do my own. I have here on my laptop my top 50 films. Don't worry, I'm not going to subject you to that. I wanted to do a bit of big series like Ryan Chatway did. I wanted to do like parts, you know, like film 50 to 45 and go super in depth and stuff. And I think I just haven't got enough time to do that, you know, and I got so many other things I want to do, so not even including YouTube. So maybe next year or something like that I might do something like that. But for now, here's the top 20, and it's so hard to whittle them down and be ruthless, and I'm still not happy with it because there's so many other films I would love to include in my top 20 favourite film list. But I think the top 5 is pretty solid, and these are my favourite films. I kind of would rearrange it if I was talking about my top 20 like best films, of like the films I think are the best films ever made, because when you get to the top 5 it's like, that shouldn't be there. And I agree, because, you know, anyway, we'll get to it. 2.5 minutes, Jesus, Luke, you don't have now to waffle and ramble and just not be good with time. Speaking of time, it's 10 to 5 in the morning. Believe it or not, that's how I roll. I just really felt in the mood to do this video, and I'm always up late. I'm always up really late. I work really late, so it's just my sleeping pattern. Right, number 20. I have a massive stack here that's almost as high as where the camera is. The Bridge on the River Kwai. Stars Alec Guinness. He won an Oscar for this role. I believe this film won Oscar, including Best Picture in 1957. It's about a group of British prisoners of war, and is it in Japan? No, it's not Japan. No, but there's Japanese. It's been a while since I saw this film, but I remember it so clearly, apart from like the fine details of the story. But anyway, it's a prisoner of war film, I guess, and this guy here, Colonel, is it Colonel? Let me just figure this out. I promise it won't be like this normally, but well, his name's Nicholson anyway, Captain Nicholson, Colonel Nicholson, and he's the leader of his army gang. I'm sorry, and he gets taken into the camp. It's run by this Japanese guy called Sato, and they're basically making these prisoners of war, including Alec Guinness, build a bridge for them over the River Kwai. And wow, it's such a good film. It's about 3 hours long, and yeah, just the character development and stuff, and Alec Guinness is fantastic. An hour into this film, I almost cried, right? And it wasn't because it was sad, it was joy, you know. And I've never really felt that before. Like, almost like if I'd let myself, I probably could have rolled a few tears, because it's just the build up to that moment was brilliant, and then the whole film and the ending's just really, really good. It's just a great film. I absolutely love it. Fantastic film that I only saw recently, and I forget his name now. I'm going to try and find it very quickly. I don't want to edit this video, so bear with me please. But I just saw a guy who did the top 20 favourite films list, and I really liked it. And he was saying it's only been the past 2 years that he has really taken film seriously, and I agree. That's kind of the same with me. I've always loved film and watched loads of films, but only recently in the past couple of years have I really become a big film fan. Well, not a big film fan, but I've really delved into like proper films, and, you know, just seen films that most people have seen, you know, and taken as read as like a classic I hadn't seen before. Maticus Tatui. I don't know, but he's got a great channel, just check him out. And yeah, I agree with what he said. Number 19, and I promise we'll be moving more swiftly with this, Silence of the Lambs. Brilliant film, absolutely brilliant film. Again, an Oscar-winning film, I believe. Jodie Foster and Anthony Hopkins both won the Best Actor and Actress awards, respectively, for this film. Just a brilliant film about Jodie Foster. She's a CIA or FBI agent, and she needs to catch a serial killer called Buffalo Bill. And to do this, to get inside the mind of this sick serial killer who's skinning women alive. Not alive, I don't think he kills them, but anyway. She goes to Hannibal Lecter, you know. And as soon as I say Hannibal Lecter, you just know exactly what I'm talking about, even if you don't know anything about the film. Who's played brilliantly by Anthony Hopkins, and he kind of gives her kind of insight on on Buffalo Bill, but he's kind of teasing her and stuff, and it's just an amazing relationship in the film. That's that takes place between a set of bars, or like a plate glass window where he's held in his cell because he's obviously an imprisoned serial killer. Amazing film. Number 18, I believe, is actually the only animated film on this list. There probably should be more on that, but it is WALLE. I've talked about this before. This is just nearly a perfect film. It is so good. The first 20 minutes of this film were just like heaven. I just absolutely love it. There's no dialogue. It's just, oh, it's just such a good film. Absolutely love it. WALL-E is adorable, and this just proves the genius of Pixar, that they have made a robot that's made of pixels. One of the cutest things in a film ever, and also just a brilliant character who doesn't really even speak. Yeah, it's just genius. I absolutely love it. Number 17, Stand By Me, filmed by Rob Reiner. It stars Will Wheaton, River Phoenix, the late River Phoenix, Corey Feldman, Kiefer Sutherland, Jerry O'Connell. The last shot of this, or one of the last shots of this film, when River Phoenix walks away and fades into nothing. Oof, that is a tough shot to watch, and I think most people know what I mean by that. It was just really eerie, but this film's just great. The kids are so good, so funny. It's a great kind of coming of age story. Kiefer Sutherland is great in it as well, and yeah, just great film. And if you've seen this, you'll know what I mean. It's a great film. It's an adaptation of a short story Stephen King wrote. Number 16 is Almost Famous, another fantastic film by Cameron Crowe, one of my favourite directors. And what I love about Cameron Crowe is that he really injects music into his films, and even when he films on set, he'll have music playing for the actors to get into it, which I think is really cool. Vanilla Sky is another one of my favourites by him, but this is my favourite Cameron Crowe film. Another thing I've tried to do is just kind of keep, where possible, just my favourite film by one of my favourite directors, and not loads, because it'd be so easy. So my favourite Cameron Crowe film is Almost Famous, and it's about a kid who becomes a journalist, and he kind of becomes a kind of roadie with this band, and it's kind of based on Cameron Crowe's actual life. When he was a kid, he toured with like Led Zeppelin and stuff, and so there's a lot of, this is a music film really, and it's just brilliant. Billy Crudup is awesome in this, Jason Lee, they're two members of the band, and it's again almost like a coming of age story, but it's just fantastic. Great cast, brilliant music. There's lots of little nuggets of kind of music, kind of not trivia, but like little bits of music stuff that is really cool for people who love music, especially that era of music, like the 70s and stuff, which I really love. That's my favourite type of music. So I really enjoyed that. Philip Seymour Hoffman is also in that. Number 15, a controversial choice, I have to say. Arnold Schwarzenegger, Last Action Hero. Now this is just, it's an amazing film. It's so good. The concept is there's a kid who loves action films, and he loves the new Arnold Schwarzenegger film called Jack Slater 4. Oh, he loves the Jack Slater series. He wants to go see the new one. And the old guy who runs the rundown cinema that he goes to hands him a golden ticket that was once given to him when he was a kid by Houdini. And he's like, it's a golden magic ticket, but I never had the balls to use it. And so the kid's like, okay, so he rips the ticket, watches the Jack Slater 4 film, and he gets transported into Jack Slater 4. So he's in, most of this film takes place inside another film where Arnold Schwarzenegger is the character Jack Slater, but we know that he is Arnold Schwarzenegger. And then they come back to the real world, and we see like Jack Slater meeting Arnold Schwarzenegger. He really, really sends himself up big style in this. Got all the cheesy Arnold Schwarzenegger lines, but this time it's ironic, and you know, it's meant to be bad, and that's what's so good about it. No one seems to realise that. And it's just, I love it. It's, again, it sums up one of the things like a nostalgic childhood thing for me. Oh, sorry, my breath's quite laboured tonight. Sorry about that. But yeah, like, it reminds me of being a kid and just loving this film, and I love it even more now. I can watch this film so many times. You know, just the great, great lines. You know, got to catch the red eye. Hey, you want to be a farmer? Here's a couple of acres. And when they go into like a video store and the kid's like, look, where's the action film? Schwarzenegger. I'll prove to you that you're a film star. And they're like a big poster of Terminator 2 with Stallone on it. And the kid's like, no, this isn't right. And Schwarzenegger's like, what? It's his best performance ever. It's just great. I guess I do like more Arnie films better than this, but I love it. It's just brilliant. And just one of those films I can watch over and over again, you know. So I wouldn't say that it was the best Arnie film, but still. Number 14, I don't have. I think it's under my bed somewhere. And this is 2 for 1. Before Sunrise and Before Sunset. These are two films about two characters called Jesse and Celine. An American guy, a French woman. They meet on a train, and they get off in Vienna, and they strike up a conversation. They spend the night together in Vienna, just walking around and get to know each other. And that's it, the whole film. Before Sunrise is just those two in Vienna for one night. And it's the best romantic romance film. How would you put it? Yeah, the best romance, I guess, film. It doesn't fit. Romantic film, I guess. But anyway, it's the best film about romance I've ever seen. It's so... It kind of dances over the line of kind of being a really real romance. And kind of playing it up just a little bit, just dialing that kind of movie love up a little bit, but not too much, and it just makes it so relatable and real, and you kind of feel like that could happen to you, you know. And it's excuse me, it's just great, and the performances are great, and it's so like natural, and I love those two characters, those two actors. It's Ethan Hawke and Julie Delpy. And then Before Sunrise, Before Sunset, the sequel, takes place like nearly 10 years later. I won't go into what that's about, but it continues the story on, and it's so good. Before Sunset is actually a real-time film where everything is meant to look like it's in real time. Like, there's no cuts away from the actual narrative of the film, which is brilliant. Number 13 is Batman. I'm a huge Batman fan, and this would probably go higher, but I wanted to put it a bit up the list because there's two other Batman films on my top 10 list. So Batman's great. Michael Keaton is the best Batman by far. Absolutely love him, and that Batman film is just great. Love the tone, love everything, love Jack Nicholson as the Joker cheering up the scenery. Just a brilliant film. Number 12 is another 2 for 1. Kill Bill. I'll just call it Kill Bill Volume 1 and Volume 2. I prefer Volume 2 because I like the talky stuff, I like the wordy stuff. I love the last half hour of this film, it's just brilliant. And this is great for the action and just the more of the revenge stuff. And this is great for just like the meat of the story. Absolutely brilliant film. And again, I really wanted to put Death Proof, Jackie Brown and Pulp Fiction on this list, but I just felt like if I'm going to narrow it down, these are the ones from Quentin Tarantino that I'm going to include, and I love Uma Thurman, she's one of my favourite actresses. Number 11, this list goes to 11. Watchmen. Love Watchmen. Here we got the Dr. Manhattan case and the director's cut steelbook. Absolutely love Watchmen. Watched it recently and was just like, I forgot how good this film was. It's so good. The use of music, the use of character development, just the direction, everything about this is great. Of course, you got the great story that's already there from the classic graphic novel, but it's just brilliant. I love it, and I can watch it so many times. Still haven't watched the director's cut. I just defied the time because it's so long. Squeaky chair. But yeah, I absolutely love Watchmen. Who's watching The Watchmen? Me, all the time. Number 10, we get to the top 10 now. And yeah, 15 minutes. This is going to go on for quite a while, so what am I saying? It already has been. But yeah, it's The Dark Knight. Yeah, brilliant film. I think I think everything that's ever needed to be said about this film has been said tenfold. So I'll just leave it at that. It's just an amazing film. So good. Heath Ledger is amazing in it. Christian Bale pulls in a great performance as Batman and Bruce Wayne, and there's just a great cast as well. I really love Aaron Eckhart as Two-Face and Harvey Dent. I think he's really underrated in the Batman series of films, and it's kind of overshadowed by Heath Ledger, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but you know, I love Dark Knight. I remember going to see that for the first time, just being blown away. Number 9, and this a few years ago was my all-time favorite film. Things have since changed, but that's also because I had a relationship, and we both loved this film. It was our film, so now it's kind of like just bad memories. Like, I don't know, but it's still such a good film. But I don't think I could put it at number 1 anymore. But again, also in the past couple of years, you know, I've been watching more films and kind of reevaluating my whole opinion on them. But yeah, it is The Blues Brothers. I saw this first on like ITV2 or something, fell in love with it, and it's just classic. It's about these two brothers here, well, brothers, played by John Belushi and Dan Aykroyd, and the Blues Brothers, Jake and Elwood, and they used to have a blues band, a rhythm and blues band. Jake has been in prison. Beginning of the film, he gets out of prison, and they go back to the orphanage where they were brought up, and the woman there who runs it says that you know, our orphanage is going to be shut down unless we, you know, pay this money to the council. So they decide to put their band back together. We're getting the band back together, and they try and raise the money to keep the orphanage open, and they believe that they're on a mission from God, which is great. And I just love this film. The lines, it's so funny. The music is awesome. Ray Charles is in this. Aretha Franklin is in this. John Lee Hooker is in this. You just got these legends of music, and or you know, rhythm and blues. And the comedy is great. You know, it's between these two. The music's great. There's some great action scenes. You know, we got Carrie Fisher, Princess Leia, in this crazy role as this like psychotic ex-girlfriend of Jake's who just tries to kill them at every available opportunity. It's just a brilliant film. If you haven't seen it, go and see it. It is brilliant. You know how Wayne's World was like a Saturday Night Live sketch that became a big comedy film that was great? This is the same thing, only much better. And I love Wayne's World, but man, this is such a good film. It's 106 miles to Chicago. We got a full tank of gas, half a pack of cigarettes, it's dark, and we're wearing sunglasses. And number 8 is The Good, the Bad, the Ugly. Only saw this last year as well. Brilliant film, so good. We got Clint Eastwood as the man with no name, or Blondie in this film. They always say it's the man with no name, but he always has a name. He's Blondie in this. That's what the nickname he's given. And we got Tuco, played by Eli Wallach, and I forget who Lee Van Cleef. I forget his character. But yeah, we got 3 characters there: the good, the bad, the ugly, and they're all after this gold, and it's just like this big plot. 3-hour film. One of the best westerns you'll ever see. So good, like the scenery, the direction, the acting. You know, it's just so cool, so badass at times, and then the finale is brilliant and features maybe my favorite piece of music ever written, which is The Ecstasy of Gold by Ennio Morricone, or however you pronounce his name. Just genius music, so good. Number 7. She was my Rushmore. Felt like this wasn't in there though. That would have been a disaster. Rushmore. Again, Wes Anderson's one of my favourite directors. I could have put every single one of his films in this list, apart from Fantastic Mr. Fox, which I still love, but it's not on par with his other films. Yeah, so you're talking like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or 7 films I could have easily put in place of this, but I decided to go with this one. I love Rushmore. It's about a kid called Max. I've forgotten his name. It's one of my favourite films. Max Fisher, of course. And he's in this kind of private school called Rushmore, and he's a really terrible student, but has kind of like founded all these clubs and stuff, and it's become his life. You know, he loves Rushmore more than anything, even though he's such a shit student. And then he falls in love with one of the teachers. And he's also friends with this kind of local kind of tycoon, played by Bill Murray, who's a bit of a loner, and he also falls in love with the same woman. There's kind of this weird love triangle going on. Brilliant film. Just, it's so Wes Anderson. So quirky, great music, great direction, different, funny, poignant at times. Fantastic. And number 6 is a film that I watched about a year ago, and honestly I feel like I should be putting this higher, but to me this might be the greatest film ever made. It is Seven Samurai by Akira Kurosawa. It's a Japanese film from 1954, and it's just got some amazing performances in this. It's about 7 samurai who are assigned to protect this village from bandits who are stealing their crops and stuff and making life misery for them. And now it's about an hour, or maybe just over an hour, before we see the 7 samurai kind of being assembled. It's a bit like the Avengers, I guess, but so much better than the Avengers. Not that I love the Avengers, but this is just such a great film, and yeah, I've reviewed this film before, so you know I'm not going to go into too much detail, especially considering we're nearly 22 minutes into this. But it's just a fantastic film. Black and white, obviously, old, obviously, but still holds up. Also stars my favourite actor of all time, Toshiro Mifune, who's brilliant in this as Kikuchio. And like the kind of the final battle of this film goes on for so long, and it's just brilliant. It's a fantastic film. There's not much more I can say other than go and watch this if you haven't already. You know, this is art to me. Art. I said that weird. Art. I don't know. It just sounded weird when I said that. Alright, now we're going to the top 5. Yeah, I'm going to take another sip of Pepsi. Get myself ready for this. So, this film is definitely nowhere near as good as 7 Samurai, but to me, you know, I guess I'm kind of looking at this as kind of, if I could watch 5 films before I die, I'd still put 7 Samurai there though. It's tough. It's a tough business doing this top 20 list. I guess you just gotta not take it too seriously, but it's hard for me to do that. But yeah, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. This will always be one of my favourite films. I saw this the day I finished school, and I was kind of in love with Kate Winslet's character from this for about 2 weeks, and I felt depressed because it was just like, this film just got to me. I don't know, it's brilliant. Jim Carrey and Kate Winslet play a couple in the film, although, yeah, they play a couple, and then they split up, and she has him removed from her memory, so he decides to do the same thing. So most of this film takes place inside Jim Carrey's head as his memories are being erased, and as they're being erased he decides he doesn't want them to be erased anymore. He's changed his mind, so he's trying to hide from this machine that's erasing his memories, and he's trying to hide in his own memory. We got Mark Ruffalo and Elijah Wood playing these 2 workers who are kind of like got the computer and the machine on his head, trying to, you know, get his memories away. We got Tom Wilkinson, who's kind of like the boss of the company that does this. Kirsten Dunst is a girl who works in the company also. She gets involved in the story as well. But it's just a brilliant film, and it's so unique. It's directed by the great Michel Gondry, who's a great kind of visionary. He's so weird and kooky and awesome, and I love him. And he did most of the effects in this film practically. He's a big advocate of doing things for real, in camera. Obviously some things you can't do, but a lot of this was done for real, and I love that. I love that about him, and this film is it's just amazing, you know, absolutely love it. Don't care what anyone says. Number 4. Oh god, these have got a lot of dust on top of them. Oops, I'm just going to wipe that off. This is why I'm regretting not editing this video. Dead air like this. Okay, number 4 is Aliens. I can't take it out because it hasn't got its own case or anything, but Aliens, the second film in the Alien anthology. They cleverly removed the quadrilogy title from the DVD release. Aliens is the first film I ever saw when I was zero. And that's a story for another time. But my mother is not a bad mother, by the way. She's a great mother. But she did show me Aliens before I was old enough to walk. Yeah. Anyway, Aliens is great. I think Alien is a better film, but Aliens, to me, I'll always prefer. It's so cool, so badass. It's such a great war film, you know, but it's like a war on aliens. And the confined kind of space that they took from like the first film, they kind of expanded it, but it's still kind of confined. There's a group of people who've gone to this planet. Actually, I'm not going to explain the plot. You know what Aliens is. Sigourney Weaver is amazing in this as Ripley. So is Carrie something, I think is her name, who plays Newt, the little girl that they find on the colony. And then there's a great cast of Marines, you know, like Bill Paxton and Michael Biehn. It's just great actors in this. And it's such a great film. The last 20-25 minutes of this film, just awesome. Really, it holds up today by far. You know, just a classic film. And you know, I don't think you could ever find a film anymore, you know, since then, before then, after then, that will use a line like "Get away from her, you bitch," and have it not be like kind of, you know, it was just like, yeah. At least that's why I'm like, yeah, this is awesome. I love it. Number 3 is The Dark Knight Rises. Oh yeah. And I'm actually going to be making a video at some point where I'm going to be watching a lot of these films, my favourite films, because believe it or not, some of these films I've just shown you, like The Blues Brothers, Aliens, and the next two, number 2 and 1, I've not yet watched on Blu-ray, even though I've owned them for such a long time. And I've been waiting because I think I want to do a video where I watch my top 5 favourite films or something like that on Blu-ray for the first time and talk about them. And then I might reevaluate things, but for now, number 3 is The Dark Knight Rises. Talked about this far too much. I'm just going to say, bottom line, the last 3 minutes of The Dark Knight Rises are unreal. Best ending to a film of all time. Bar none. It was so good, so well built up, and it was just like, I love it. You know, it was just, like, I could have cried when I saw it for the first time. It was so good. You know, both out of the emotion of watching the film or just a pure elation of just like, this is amazing. Dark Knight Rises, it's just a brilliant film. I've talked about it far too much, so I'm not going to go into it in any more detail. Number 2 is Back to the Future, the original. 2 and 3 are great, but I love the first one. It's just a classic. It's got everything. It really has got everything. It's got action. It's got comedy, like good comedy. It's got drama, it's got romance, it's kind of a coming of age of sorts, you know, it's got science fiction in it, fantasy elements, and a really poignant relationship between Marty McFly and Doc Brown, I think. That scene where he's writing the letter to him and stuff, and when he says goodbye to him, it's a really sweet, touching relationship, I think, in the midst of this film that most people kind of dismiss as kind of like an 80s kind of cornfest, and it really isn't at all. It's a clever film, it's a great film, it has everything in it, and I absolutely love it. It's just brilliant. And I have a Back to the Future poster signed by Christopher Lloyd. I've met Christopher Lloyd, and he's a great man. Well, I wouldn't say he's a great man just because I met him, but he's a great actor and stuff, and it was great meeting him, and he was really cool. Number 1, drum roll please, and we nearly hit the 30-minute mark. If you stay with me this long, thank you. Well done. You've earned yourself a few points for that one. And apologies for the past 29 minutes because I've been a little iffy on the talking. Kind of been messing up my words a little, and I haven't edited this as well, so that must suck for you. Number 1 is From a Galaxy Far, Far Away. But which one is it? Well, come on, it's got to be episode 1 of Star Wars, The Phantom Menace. I think it's just, I know people hate it, but it's where it all started, you know. It's the first Star Wars film, even though it was made in, I think, 1999, which is weird because I've heard that the episode 4, 5 and 6 like were made in the 70s and 80s, I think there must be something wrong with that. Like someone must have got the dates mixed up on Wikipedia or something. But the first Star Wars film, The Phantom Menace, we get to see this little kid called Anakin Skywalker, and we'll later find out that he actually becomes Darth Vader. My favourite thing about The Phantom Menace is Jar Jar Binks, played by I forget his name now, Ahmed Johnson, I think it is, and okay, that's enough. That's enough. And I'm sure Ahmed Johnson is a wrestler from the WWF in like the 90s or something. I think it's I don't know. I'm sure it's Ahmed something, but yeah. Okay, let's just drop the pretend, shall we? Empire Strikes Back is my #1 favorite film of all time. Episode 5 of Star Wars: The Empire Strikes Back. It's just such a unique film. It's a blockbuster film that was built off the back of a film that exploded in the 70s called Star Wars, that no one saw coming, no one took seriously until it came out and just became this phenomenon. And they made another one 3 years later. They called it The Empire Strikes Back. They hired a director called Irvin Kershner, who kind of just took the Star Wars kind of story and just turned it into something just fantastic. Of course, credit to George Lucas, but I really think the best thing George Lucas ever did, next to creating Star Wars, was hire Irvin Kershner to direct this film. He passed away 2 years ago, sadly, but I'm so glad he made this film. And yeah, it's so good. It's basically Act 2 of a 3-act story where everything goes to hell, and that's what's so great about it, because Empire Strikes Back ends with your main hero finding out that the villain, the nemesis of the series, a guy who has become like an icon of cinema in only a few years from Star Wars, Darth Vader. That guy standing behind me there. Your hero finds out that this nemesis, this bad guy over here, is his father. His father then cuts his son's hand off. His son nearly dies. And then your secondary hero of the film, Han Solo, gets frozen in carbonite, separated from the love of his life. And that's the end of the film. It's like, yeah, everything has just been fucked. Credits, you know? You'll have to wait another 3 years for the resolution to this. How fucking awesome is that? Like, who made that decision? Who was like, yeah, let's go with that? Because it's not something you would ever see today, you know? The only thing I can think of, like a closer example, is the end of the Deathly Hallows Part 1. But we only had like a 6-month wait until that. But, such a good ending, you know? And just the whole film is fantastic. You know, Yoda is just one of my favourite characters in film history. Played and puppeteered brilliantly by Frank Oz. And, yeah, it's just got everything that the first film had, but it's darker, and it's just great. It's just brilliant, and just the two stories that kind of cut between each other, the pacing is perfect, everything's great, and then just the fight between Darth Vader and Luke is just so awesome, you know, and it goes on for so long, and there's just the psychology that goes behind it, and then that final scene, you know, no, I am your father, no, I am your father. Yeah, Bane is very similar to Darth Vader in a lot of ways, I'm just saying, you know. Like that scene in Dark Knight Rises. I'm sorry, I'm just going off track here. That scene in the Dark Knight Rises when all the lights go off, and he's like, "Ah, so you think darkness is your ally? You merely adopted the dark." It was pretty much the exact same scene from Return of the Jedi when they're underneath the walkway. But anyway, that's it for now. This video is probably going to be like 35 minutes, I think. I think it's going to take me a minute to wrap this up. Thank you for watching my top 20 favourite films of all time. It's a list that's always changing though, you know, and you know how it is. I guess most film fans are always kind of rearranging things. Some people don't like to do it, some people really like to do it. I guess I'm kind of in the middle. But yeah, thank you Robin for making the original video. Well, I mean, people have done this before, you know, but thank you for making the video that sparked my mind into going, yeah, I'm going to do this now, you know. Only now I've got to go and pull the bloody Blu-rays back up in the right spaces and stuff. It's nearly 5:30 in the morning. I should probably go to bed. Ugh, and take this down. See, I don't usually like filming from this angle because it's like just a boring background. But I couldn't be bothered to set my tripod up to kind of stand in front of the the Blu-ray station, as I call it. And then you got Darth Vader in the background there, and I'm just like, yeah, that'll probably do, I guess. And now I've got to take him down again. Thank you for watching. That was my top 20 favourite films. I'm Luke Ryan, or RazorwireReviews, whatever you want to call me. And I'm very tired. But this was fun. Let's do it again sometime. Bye.
Yeah, he's really cool. But he's not quite as cool as you, cause...
Oh.